Coleman a game time decision, or is he?
No, he's good. Blake's good. Yeah, he's playing. Yeah.
Does that mean Martin's not
He's not. No.
out there? Obviously, that's a pretty good sign in his recovery.
Yeah, it's the next step for him. So if everything keeps going the way it goes over our break, we're expecting him to be back for our game in Boston.
What's this group lose with AJ Greer out 8 weeks?
Quite a bit. I mean, AJ, he was the one guy on that fourth line that had some consistency to his play. And there was the physicality that he brought. He was an energy guy in the room for us for sure, and he's chipped in offensively for us. So we'll miss him. There's no doubt. It was a tough break, so to say. I guess I can say it's one of those unfortunate ones that, knowing him, though, he'll push the envelope to try to get back sooner than later.
When you watch tape of this version of the Blackhawks without Bedard and with so many guys injured, what do you see out of their game?
It's the same thing that we saw from them when we were in Chicago. They are a hardworking group right now, very young, hardworking group. And the way we've prepared our players is to make sure that we're focused on what we have to do here in our last game for tonight, to make sure we're as individuals at our very best, and we want to make sure our team game is where it needs to be.
You mentioned the power play after Thursday's game.
Yeah.
We've seen stretches where it's worked really well and some
Yeah.
stretches where it hasn't. To you, what's the key to that power play unit being as effective as you want it to be?
I've mentioned before, I think it needs to have more of a 5-on-5 mentality, and I think it needs to work harder when it doesn't have pucks. That's one thing that jumps out at me a lot. And the second thing, I think, the one unit in particular, there has to be someone that grabs hold of it. So we need someone to grab hold of that unit, whether it's Naz, Hubie, Lindy, whoever that may be. Someone's got to grab hold of that unit and make sure that they're doing the things that they have to do to be a better power player.
Is that like being vocal on the ice? Grab hold, what you mean by that, Ryan?
Lead by example for one, how I mentioned the 5-on-5 mentality. So you want to make sure you're showing that when you don't have pucks. And at times, if someone isn't doing that, then there has to be someone on that unit, because they're all experienced guys, that will say, hey, that's not it. We need more in that situation.
In terms of 5-on-5 mentality, is that sort of when you're battling for 50-50 pucks? Is it getting back on breaks?
Well, that's like the goal we gave up last game. We had a number of people stand and watch when there's a little bit of trouble or the puck's kind of up for grabs, instead of being responsible and working harder in those type of situations. So that's kind of it. If there's a loose puck or we change sides on the power play in the offensive zone and someone gets it, how do the other four guys move across to support them? Are their feet planted, or are they working hard to get over there? That's to me what it comes down to.
And you have three defensemen in Tanev, Weegar, and Anderson in the top, I think, dozen in the NHL in block shots.
Yeah.
What does that stat tell you? What does that stat say to you?
That's an important one for us, because it's been something that we haven't been a great, other than the exception of Chris per se. It hasn't been one of our strengths over the years. This year, I would even say our forwards are falling into that category where they're doing a better job of trying to get into the way of shots than we've seen in the past. But there's a lot of courageous guys on the back end when they step in front of shots like our guys do. So I think it sends a message, the right message to a teammate, that they're going to do whatever they have to do for someone beside them to have success.
With some different pairs and lines out there, is that just a shuffle? Things maybe getting stale a little bit?
Yeah, a little shuffle, but we'll things you'll see again. They'll bounce around a fair bit tonight, would be our expectation.
The potential of Shillington and Weidman together on a pair, what do you like about that?
Well, we're still at the point with Oliver where we're working to increase his workload a little bit to make sure he's in a position to succeed. Oliver skates really well, and I think the way Mackenzie's played a lot of his games, I think the left-right combination between the two of them can add a little different dynamic for us. So we'll try it a few times tonight, see how it goes. As we mentioned before when we did this, you'll see Andy and Mackenzie together tonight as well. So it's going to be a bit of bouncing around.
The jumbled lines up front, is that just because Coleman wasn't there this morning, or are we going to start seeing some more new combinations?
There'll be a few subtle adjustments tonight, but it won't be anything that's like crazy.
Speaking, you've been pretty happy up until, I guess, the last
4 games. Really, you look at it, it's this last 8 to 10 days that we're unhappy with. Up until that point, we were really pleased with the way our lines were coming along. So, yes, there needs to be some change to make sure there's a little bit of juice and a little bit of change, I think, is an important thing. But at the same time, we can't forget that before this stretch that we've been in, those lines were starting to come.
And I think it was this time last week, we were talking about Adam Klapka going in for his first NHL game. What have you seen in terms of, have you seen some steps forward as he gets a taste of this level?
I have. I mean, there's a big learning curve for sure for a young man like him. And I think for us, what he's done in the games is tried to finish hits. You see him handling the puck a little bit more. We have to make sure that it's every shift that he's consistent with that. And that's part of learning and growing as an NHL player.